We're back with more WarCraft 3, and guess what? We don't have an undead in today's game. It is a Night Elf versus human, as we have down to the bottom SecretStrat, UK player, as far as I know, FXPY, or something along those lines, is his original ID. And up to the top right, we have his opponent, and it is a DeathNote. So both of them here from Europe, and this should be a pretty good one on Amazonia. Pretty much looking forward to that, for once without an undead participation. Also, what's pretty cool is that we actually have, this time, Fog of War that we can use, because this game was played with an observer. Unfortunately, when it comes to the player colors, we also have to the bottom left now someone in, I guess that's supposed to be black or some kind of gray, so it's a little bit tricky to see on the minimap. And yeah, there's nothing that I can do with team colors in order to change that for you guys, so my apologies for that. But again, we have still a pretty cool UI all the way up the top, so you can still see all the resources, and with the Fog of War on the minimap, you should probably try and just figure out around the vision circles just simply where there are a couple of units on the map. But yeah, we're going to have a look at that. I'm going to keep calling him SecretStrat, which is the ID that he uses in this game. But again, his original ID or name is something along the lines of FXPY or FYPX, yeah, something like that. Not quite sure what exactly it means, but our Night Elf player here definitely starts off with a Keeper. Keep in mind, a couple of these things, or a couple of the tools of the Keeper have obviously been nerfed in the recent past. Still a very favorite option for Night Elves to start the game with, because it offers a lot of early control for you. And with that, we see the traditional opening. You build the Ancient of War towards the mercenary camp, get one archer out, and then start creeping. That's a pretty standard stuff from him. Also, scouting is already happening. Has one of the wisps very close to the expansion, so that he knows immediately when the human player is trying to make an attempt to get an expansion into the game. And for him, we have actually a very, very quick blacksmith. So super quick blacksmith to get him into the first few riflemans, and delaying his hero. So a very different style from DeathNote that we're seeing from him right now. Normally you're trying to get the hero out very quickly. Oftentimes it's going to be an Archmage, so that you're in a position where you can easily creep with water elementals. But now we're having a Paladin first against Night Elf, and with that, super fast Rifleman. So that's actually really cool. I haven't seen that before. I heard about that strategy a bit, and that it's starting to gain a bit more popularity these days, as people are experimenting a lot with different styles and different approaches. But I haven't actually seen it yet. I didn't see it in the game. So I'm pretty hyped for this one, to see how that's going to work out for DeathNote in the game. I mean, so far, what it obviously does is it delays his creep. Like, he can't creep as quickly. So when you're comparing that to his opponent, we already have the Keeper on level 2. We have him with 2 items. He has a Cloak of Shadows, has a Ring of Protection. But he doesn't have... sorry, and DeathNote doesn't have any kind of experience yet. And there we go. Double Rifleman, starting with that. And already the smiley face right there. Yep, Hawk style, pretty much. And DeathNote definitely experimented with that now too. Hawk actually has played a ton of different styles lately. I mean, he also played a lot of that mass Orb of Fire play against Undead, which we've seen from Chemico on the Korean side. So DeathNote here made a cool story, a little bit of back and forth. But I mean, no matter what exactly, who exactly came up with that style originally, you're still having it see some success here in the early stages of the game. You can't kill a whole lot if your opponent has a Paladin. If you rely on the Entangle, it's just going to heal it up. And those Riflemen are still pretty hit point heavy with 535. Have the Aura, obviously, now too. That's a pretty cool style to keep units alive, get a bit of damage out there, and also make creeping quite easy. The Paladin is by now level 2, so he more or less caught up already. Not quite. Still, we are seeing the camera of the groove a little bit far ahead. And in the meantime, now starting to get the attack or the potential level 3 for him. So apparently, yeah, Hawk playing it quite a bit. Back in the days was a little bit more successful. For me personally, it's just cool that we're seeing it again. That we have a deviation from the norm, because let's face it, human is struggling a lot these days, and them trying to come up with new strategies to be more successful in certain matchups is something that I always like a lot. Level 3 Paladin already, even gets one of mana stealing, the tech into keep for him on the way. and we're having just Rifleman being pushed out the entire time. The fight, on the other hand, is going on, and there's the Entangle right now. Treants are coming in too. 4 Rifleman is all that he has for now. Not even trying to retreat, losing one of the Rifleman, and things are starting to get a little bit dicey for DeathNote. He needs to be careful with this. Tries to at least take a few of the Treants out to get the free experience here, but outside of that, those Riflemen are pretty expensive. Yes, they also have a bit of a punch, but at the same time, if you lose them to the Entangle, you're in trouble. With 4 more coming in, he's starting to attack though. But the Naga is out, and oh, that as a second hero is actually a great reaction that we're seeing from his opponent. A lot of control now into those fights from a SecretStrat here, the Nightelf player. I mean, he's in a position where he's now building also additional Ancient of Lore. Could see Mountain Giants again, for example, as an option from him. But just in general, having a Naga and a Keeper really allows you to hunt down anyone that is trying to run away from you. You are in a position where you can easily just slow down their advance, and once they are starting to turn and run, you can just slow them down and pick them off 1 unit at a time, and that's pretty much the idea here too. Force your opponent into battles and then take them down here. And he does it even with the creeps. He baits them out a little bit, and then on the retreat he takes them apart one after another. We're seeing, of course, on the side of his opponent, of the DeathNote side, also more creeping happening towards the right side of the map now. Gets a sentry ward. That could be pretty impactful depending on how fast DeathNote realizes that they're there, or how much information you can glean from the sentry wards on the map. The human player, on the other hand, selling a couple of his items, finding a replenishment potion here too, and still looking for his next level, currently level 3.5 Paladin. And up in the main base, we're having by now the completed tech into Keep. I see the Blood Mage coming in, so very reminiscent of a few games that we just saw recently. A lot more of that happening these days. One of the reasons why you're starting normally with the Archmage is that later on you really need that mana on your heroes, and also of course on those casters that you are going to produce. But if you're just worried about the hero mana, then a Blood Mage can actually do wonders. You drain your opponent, that's already a huge benefit, and then you pass it on to your own hero. And if you just keep on doing that, that's a pretty great tool, especially if you combine it with a Flame Strike that you can use to take down low HP units. Nice snipe against the Archer here, and an attack towards the main base that is ongoing, but DeathNote isn't even dealing with it. He's actually just looking at another creep spot here. The attack in the main base, where we now have the Blood Mage coming out, immediately going for the drain. Has to be careful that he doesn't get chased down, because there's not a lot of turrets in that base. AKA, there isn't a single one. But of course you can't venture too deep into a human base, or those militia are going to rip you a new one, so you need to be a bit careful with that. And eventually we're going to see that town portal coming through. But for the time being, we're having the Paladin on 4.5. Finds the Scroll of the Beast and the Belt of Giant Strength in addition. And now the town portal and the immediate retreat that we are having from the Nightelf player. Not risking to be surrounded by anything here. I mean, it's always one of these things, if you can bait out the town portal, that alone is already a bit of a victory. I mean, those things aren't quite cheap, so you need to be careful with that. Militia with a defense, and it seems like for now at least, SecretStrat is willing to fight a little bit here. Should be cautious, because that is a pretty big army that we are seeing now for DeathNote. He's at 43 supply against the 46, so they're basically tied when it comes to supply numbers. We have Mountain Giants now in the base, with a double Ancient of Lore here, also researching the Hardened Skin. No one with an expansion just yet. So this thing is, by the way, weirding me out, because of the black on the minimap that you can barely see the entire time. I think that's a unit. I always look at it and says like, oh my god, look, there's a big dot, let's click on that. I'm not quite sure what he's doing there. And I realized, well, maybe he's not quite using that just yet. So yeah, again, my apologies. Can't really have any influence on the colors here, and since we are looking at this from the observer view, it also doesn't really help to go into team colors. It doesn't change anything for that. But then again, DeathNote now continuing to creep, and I mean, right now we have just both of them trying to creep a lot. But we have now the approach again from SecretStrat, trying to go in, gets the Entangle already. Big focus onto the Paladin. Keep in mind, he doesn't have any kind of Divine Shield. Instead, we're only seeing him with the heal and the armor aura, and he's using both, but he's also starting to be in a bit of trouble because there's quite a bit of AoE with the Forked Lightning and then the Entangle for the single target focus. But the Riflemen are definitely starting to hurt, and especially those archers can't really do a whole lot once that they're getting attacked. That one Mountain Giant, or the two of them, just trying to get those taunts through time and time again. The Scroll of the Beast, another huge asset in the hands of the human player, gets the level 2 for the Blood Mage, and even Militia are coming in to start to threaten the Keeper. Needs to Town Portal out, and that's exactly what he does. But another Rifleman is about to fall, barely gets the heal through. Nice Holy Light from DeathNote, making sure that no Rifleman goes down. But you look at the experience on the heroes, and we have a level 4 Paladin that is about to hit level 5, and that Blood Mage doesn't look too bad either. Level 2 for him already, whereas the Naga is on 2, the Keeper is on 3. So it's actually pretty impactful what we're seeing from DeathNote here. I really, really like it. It's very difficult to take that army down with all the extra armor that it has, with the constant heals that are coming out. There's no tech into tier 3 just yet. Obviously, Tree of Eternity has been reached already a while ago on the side of the Nightelf player with the upgrades that he's getting. And it looks a bit to me as if that Mountain Giant might be stuck. No, that would have been a bit of a surprise. Would have been easily mitigated too. Could have just like removed one of the buildings for a second and walk a little bit to the side. But experience keeps tickling in for DeathNote. Here comes the attack once again though. Those Mountain Giants with an armor upgrade as well. No attack upgrades for the archers, but that's where a huge chunk of the damage is going to come through. And this is the main reason why we're having that strategy from DeathNote in the first place. Sustainability. Yes, it's tough to take a Mountain Giant down, but at the same time, it's not really all that easy to get rid of a Rifleman that has that armor aura, and on top of that is in a situation where he can just continuously rely on the Holy Light coming through and healing him up. Same obviously true for the Blood Mage as well. SecretStrat came in and tried to make himself undrainable, but the mana drain is going to come in again with the Siphon mana. DeathNote just healing that hero up and time again. And as long as he still has mana, there's not really a big problem for him to keep that army alive. It's just basically a question of who's able to kill a hero or big tier units first. A Keeper still not on level 4, by the way, just as a side note, but at least has the Orb of Venom in his inventory. That's going to help him a lot if he can get that damage in. But with how much pressure is on the Keeper every single time he shows his face, it's going to be tough for him to be in range continuously to get that orb damage in. He gets it in against a few of the Riflemen, but again, the Holy Light heal is there, and that Paladin still is sitting at 150 mana. And another heal is coming through, and now finally the Nightelf probably has an idea of how annoying it can be to play against an opponent that has units that are pretty much unkillable. And once that you're about to kill them, you know what happens? Yep, they staff them out with a Staff of Preservation. No Staff of Sanctuaries on the side of the blue player, because he doesn't have the castle tech yet, but it's just Rifleman, 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 and every now and then he's adding a few Riflemen. 2 attack upgrades, and starting to get the armor upgrades too, even going for one of the Granite Golems at this point. And it is item time. Oh yeah, baby, and a lot of experience of course as well. Should move the Paladin maybe a little bit farther back just to get all of the experience onto the Blood Mage, but there we have it on level 3. And he's also going to get a big item from this one. That's when the RNG is usually kicking in and you're just hoping for good times. And he's getting wrecked. Finding only the crystal ball. Like, you take down a big Granite Golem and then you get that as an item and you're just looking at it and you're like, really? Really? Is that what you thought I wanted? Like, the hell is wrong with you? There's a bit of a mana transfer happening. The Nightelf player obviously looking to move in and maybe force another battle here again. Has an expansion, by the way, by now. Not really mining from it, but entangling the gold mine as we speak. And when we look over to supply, we have DeathNote moving straight into the low upkeep with 58 and 63 for the Nightelf player. The hero levels are just really, really good. So that's actually going to be pretty big for him. Castle Tech 2. I was just about to say that I'm really a bit worried that in the long run he's going to struggle without having tier 3. So he could even add another hero if he wanted to. So that's going to be nice. But at the same time, we're having now everybody just starting to move into position again for another fight. And I mean, for the Nightelf player, it's really beneficial to attack the main base right now. You want to keep the human as far away from your expansion as you possibly can so that it has an impact later on in the game. But right now, it's also going to mean that he's going to lose his production if he loses the barracks there. But already DeathNote is ready. and is starting to take that down. There's very little repair happening. 1-2 peasants are not enough to deal with all those mountain giants, and one of them is already about to go down, but there's just nothing else being sent over. I'm a little bit speechless right now that DeathNote is not dealing with any of this. The mountain giant goes actually down. No staff being used. He has only one. Didn't use it for that. The barracks falls, but now he can try and surround even a few more and at least force the staff or preservation onto cooldown. Already, yep, getting the surround in slowly and steadily. And well, just as I said, we're having the taunt being used to free him up again. That should be the heal, yep. Keeps those riflemen in play, and by now they have 2 armor upgrades. 2 riflemen. Pretty sick setup here for him. Level 4 for the Keeper of the Grove, finally taking something down. And nice move here, isolating another mountain giant. The slow, of course, helping him with a surround now too in the ethereal form. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's another quick staff happening. Of course, he's trying to burst that down right now, but it's not going to be easy. Another rifleman that might fall. Does he have the cooldown ready on the whole? Yeah, of course he does. Big heals coming in. Level 3 on the aura, by the way, not on the holy light. Doesn't really need the level 3 just yet on the heal, because he basically heals every single rifleman to nearly full health with the heal as it stands. Big damage coming in on those mountain giants, by the way. And even gets another scroll through. The scroll of healing being used as a staff. The problem is he has only one. He has only one staff, and everything is low. It's not only the one. And he's still really starting to suffer a little bit. Treants are taken down. Free experience for DeathNote as well. Level 3.5 on the Blood Mage. But still the problem that there's an expansion for SecretStrat down at the bottom of the map. Now with the tech into Castle, we're not seeing a third hero yet for him. He rebuilt at least the barracks, and we're seeing a couple of knights coming through. Level 3 aura is going to be pretty sick. Plus 7 armor at this point for the Paladin. And for a normal unit, it still means plus 5, and it is just sick. It's really sustainable, and especially if you have some scrolls of healing, as we saw in the fight before, for your heroes, you don't only have the burst heal onto a single target, but you have that on top too. So it's absolutely insane. Great snipe against the base, that goes down too, but the Wisp Detonate is basically relieving the Paladin from all of its mana, and that's the immediate portal out right there. Just saying like, yep, I'm done. I have no mana left. He lost most of his wisps. He lost his base too. Let's get the hell out of this one. So with that being said, we're already having, in terms of supply, 64 against 65. So it's pretty much dead even. You look into the main base and we still have 2,400 gold for both of them. But obviously there was a few more resources used by the Nightelf player to get the expansion up in the first place. And it never really paid off. There's 1-1 upgrades on the Dryads now. And we also have the anti-magic potion for the Keeper, which is pretty neat if you want to make sure that your mana doesn't get drained instantly. But you look over at that Naga and you're seeing a level 2 Naga, which is still a bit away from level 3, and that's definitely going to be a problem. That Blood Mage is nearly his entire level ahead. And now we're having Knights in the mix too, and those heals are going to keep them alive for an absolute eternity. The Paladin doesn't have a lot of mana though, that's why that shop is being built right now, but it's a little bit late. Pala without mana means you can't heal anything, and that's the biggest problem for him right now. Already the transfer happening again, the heal comes in just as that knight is about to fall. It's gonna fall eventually, but still survives for much, much longer than originally expected by the Nightelf player, and that's fantastic for him right now. Another big hit and salvo against those giants. The mountain giants are starting to drop a little bit low by getting one taunt through after another, and there's no scroll of healing this time for DeathNote, and that's a problem. If he would have bought another one, it would be great for him right now, but he didn't, so now he's running into that problem where he just can't deal with all of this. He also doesn't have any casters, he doesn't have any priests, and that means he can't dispel those treants, and they are by now on level 2, so they start to really hurt. Dryad goes down, some of those mountain giants are being eliminated as well, and that Paladin is just healing. He's getting paid overtime by DeathNote at this point. He's just healing the entire time. That guy is sweating, I can tell you that much. Heal on the knight, heal on those peasants, heal on those riflemen, just heal whatever is in range. And one mountain giant after another is going down. 40, 50 supply now for DeathNote against the 69 that we still have for his opponent. A flying sheep is observing the entire battle from the high up here. It's like looking at all this and it's just like humans. All that shit happening there is like unbelievable. But yeah, with the sheep just double checking everything here, we have now those knights on, well, 0-0 upgrades. Only the upgrades for the Rifleman have really been invested to. The expansion down at the bottom of the map has been rebuilt. It's now getting entangled again. And DeathNote still doesn't have a base. This is starting to become a bit of a concern. He's trying to get that Blood Mage to level 4, and that's going to be an easy endeavor. Level up is in, but it all comes down to items at this point in time. You look at the money that DeathNote has, and that's not really all that much. I mean, he has 200 gold, but what he needs is, first of all, mana. And I really think it would work for him to just get another Scroll of Healing. I mean, he's already sustainable as it is, but with all the poison that comes through from the Orb of Venom and also from the Dryads that are being mixed into the entire setup here, the Fork of Lightning on top of that, if you have just one Scroll of Healing with this setup, you're basically making your army unkillable. The extra armor through the aura is already insane, but then on top of that, of course, you have that quick burst heal. If you then can somehow deal with all the AoE damage that comes through poison and Forked Lightning, you're finding yourself in a spot where you can't really lose any units, right? The army is much bigger for the Nightelf though. 80 supply against 53, and that's the last hurrah of DeathNote, I want to say. He needs to kill a couple of units, and he's actually taking down one of the Mountain Giants immediately. Still healing up those Knights in the back. Tries to get the cooldown through once again, and more mana burn happening too. Passing that over onto the Paladin. Big fights happening, but now Treants again in the fight, and no Dispel available. Heals onto that Knight, but eventually it's going to fall. Eventually that Knight is not going to make it. Nice move with the Ethereal Form though. Takes it out of the fight for the few seconds. Heals it up again and back to business. What an annoying strat to go up against from a Night Elf perspective. Then again, Night Elves don't deserve any better, so that's fine. Takes another one down, and those Mountain Giants are starting to fall. The problem is the damage dealers in the backline are still having free reign over this entire battle. Knight is about to die. 2 actually moves it out, but 1 falls. More mana for the Paladin, but he needs to start healing those Knights up again. That's exactly what he's trying to do, but it means that the Blood Mage is in trouble. The Blood Mage! Oh, the clutch heal with the Holy Light. 1 shot away from falling. 39 supply against 79. The economy is coming into play here as we have the Night Elf just produce unit after unit, and even with those Mountain Giants falling, it's a massive, massive problem right now for DeathNote that doesn't have the numbers. He's even sending some militia across map right now, but the level up on the Naga puts her onto level 4. Level 6 at this point for the Paladin. Could go straight into the old, and that's exactly what he does. But the Blood Mage is down. The Blood Mage is down, 47 supply against 72. DeathNote is fighting his heart out, but without the Blood Mage, he doesn't have any mana left either. Militia in the fight, ult being used, and still the attempt to go for a few more of these Mountain Giants as we have SecretStrat retreating. He still has the base. He knows it as well. Time is working in his favor. Even with only 4 Wisps mining, he isn't just in a much better position at this point in time. DeathNote is struggling. He's trying to somehow stay in the game, somehow get a kill, but he has no pressure against the heroes either. There's no Stormbolt or anything of the sort to really lock one of the heroes down and put the focus fire onto them. So the Naga, Siege, and the Keeper are doing absolutely fantastic here. And the Witch is getting those Forked Lightnings through one after another. DeathNote is trying. Strategy was pretty cool, but now he's dropping down to 37 supply. 58 on his opponent's side, and it is just way too much right now. The GG called as DeathNote loses the game, and SecretStrat, our Night Elf player, takes the victory.